Welcome back to Ron's Radio Corner. So I took some time tonight to do a little bit of a head-to-head comparison between the three radios that you see before you. The CCrane CCRadio EP Pro, my CCrane CCRadio Solar, and my GE Superadio III. And I chose these radios specifically because, one, I was really curious about these two. The GE Superadio has always been known for being a great performer, and the earlier models are supposed to be king, but this is still a decent performer. This is considered the heir apparent, apparently, of the Superadio, and the performance of the EP Pro is something that I've heard lots of people say is pretty fantastic. When I got the EP Pro, I actually did sit down and sort of compared this with the Superadio, and I didn't do it with the idea of, getting on camera and reporting it. So I didn't really write down anything or pay much attention. But my thoughts at the time that they were pretty even. That there might have been a station or two that this got, but this didn't, and vice versa. And if I pulled in something on this, a lot of times I could find it on that, even if I didn't find it on the first shot. And then the same thing the other way around. I might find something on this, but give me a little bit of time, I could get it on that. I included the CCRadio Solar because it's got the digital display. And I thought as I ran up the dial, it would allow me to kind of figure out what stations I was hitting. So those are the three radios. The way I did it was I sat down right here at this table and started at the bottom of the dial and worked my way up. If each radio was able to find a station, then my goal was what was the next station that I could pick up. And I usually did it with this radio first, and then I would see if the next station I picked up was the same for this and the same for this, or did one of these find something in between that this one didn't, and then I would try to go back and see if I could get it with this one. I realized that I could probably take these radios and go near a window or just in another room and get different results. But I thought it was a fair level playing field because I was doing each radio right here in this spot at the same time. I didn't use any antennas except what the radios have themselves. And my goal was I had to pull in a radio station that I could clearly, I shouldn't say clearly. It couldn't be so garbled I couldn't make out anything. I had to at least be able to pull in enough, that station strong enough to be able to hear conversation or music. It couldn't be so garbled where I just couldn't make anything out. Although I will tell you, there were stations that I could pick up with the radios that I didn't include because I just couldn't. I knew something was there. I just couldn't really pull it in. And there were several times where I would find one on one radio and then have to kind of take another shot to see if I could find it with the other ones. So I wouldn't say this was the most scientific, but, for the amateur hour, I tried to be fair. So what I got for results was, I wrote down the stations on as I went along, and what I got for results was for the CCrane CCRadio EP Pro, I pulled in 33 different AM channels tonight, which I thought was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive as I kept writing stuff down. With the GE Superadio III, I pulled in 36. That made me happy because I really like this radio, and I've always thought it was a great performer. And when I got this, I really kind of felt they were pretty close. I think the thing that shocked me was I pulled in 37 channels with the CCRadio Solar. And I think a big part of that was I would take this radio and I would basically twist it and flip it and do whatever it took to try to pull in that station. The other radios are a little bit bigger. I kept them on the table and I would go left and right with them, and I would play around with the wide and narrow adjustment on this radio and the wide and normal adjustment on this radio. But but I wasn't flipping them all around trying to pull in stations. But I did sort of liberally, pivot them left and right. I think the reality is, for the average person, you're not buying a radio to try to pull in some station from far away that you can hear, but it's not particularly clear. It's a little, it's a little hard to kind of to figure out. It's something that maybe you got to kind of keep adjusting. The average person is, even if they're into radio, the average person is looking for a radio that's pulling in something that's clear enough to listen to. It could be, some local political talk, maybe from a city or town they used to live in. It might be follow a sports team. But today, particularly today, if if you want to listen to something far away, you're probably just going to find a way to stream it if that's available. You're not going to sort of sit listening to something through static. So it's more of a hobby. If you're going to see how far away you can pull something, and you got to be into this enough to be a hobby. Sort of treat it that way. I think the reality is, all three of these radios would do a great job of anybody who really just wanted a decent radio. Even if you're looking to hear a radio broadcast from a bit away, all three of these radios. If this picked up three more stations than this, I don't think the three stations it picked up were coming in with such clarity that you were thinking, my God, what a great station. I can't believe how beautiful it's. Now, it's sort of the fringe stations, and the one station this picked up that, actually, that's interesting. The one station that I know this picked up that this didn't, and this picked up the same station, by the way, it didn't come in great. It was a music station, but it came in well enough where I could hear it. I knew what the song was. It was clear enough, just not real great fidelity. But for the most part, I go back to what I said a second ago. I would imagine if I had written wrote down a star or a check next to every one of these stations that came in reasonably clear, good or great, all three of these radios are picking that up. And, in the background over there facing the wrong way is my CCrane solar observer. And I would bet that would have picked up all those same stations. And most of my radios probably would have picked up most of those same stations. So if you're looking for a radio that's got some great ability to tune in AM, I think all three of these radios would do it. If you were actually looking to go buy one for yourself tomorrow, unfortunately, this isn't made anymore. And buying a used radio means you're taking your chances. As great as this radio is, and it's a great radio, a lot of features on this I like. I would say if I was going to recommend one, I would tell you to go with the CCRadio Solar. The newest models of this come with Bluetooth. They were the same price as this. The last time I checked, or really close. So, and even though this is a much smaller radio, it's actually got really good sound. So, for the same price tag, you're getting a radio that does Bluetooth, which I think is a great way to kind of give you the best flexibility that you can have. You get the presets, you get the clock. It's an emergency radio. It can run off of solar. Why not? It seems like that's the way I would go. And if you really wanted more than this, then I would probably look at something that would, a little more high end, compared to where these radios are. My only other observations would be, as much as this got 37, and this got 37, this got 33, and this got 36, I usually found that this radio was the one that was a little easier to tune in. It got the channel a little faster. It was a little easier to kind of get it in there. And that might be because this is the only true analog radio here where, maybe with the DSP chip, you might have to finagle a little bit more. I would also say that if I had a channel that was coming in a little on the faint side, these two radios are sort of polite. They have volume and they sound good, but I've always thought they don't get obnoxiously loud. This radio has more volume than you can use. It will distort, but that means when you're pulling in something far away, you have plenty of volume to kind of bring that in loud enough to hear what's going on. So, in this scenario, that was something that the radio had going for it. So that's it. Let me know what you think. If you have any of these radios and you've done a little nighttime band scanning, I'd be curious to know what your results were. I'd be curious to know, like, what's the farthest you were able to pull in with these radios. I think I got a station out of Chicago tonight, and I know I got one out of Baltimore. Neither of those states are particularly close to me, so I was relatively impressed. Outside of that, next thing I'll do with these radios, at some point I'll try to do the same thing with the FM band. I hope to do that tonight, but it actually took me a lot longer to go through the AM band than I anticipated. So look forward to hearing what you think, and thanks for watching.